Dimitris and Aristotelis from Greece, representing their company Novibet. I think talking about something I have definitely encountered in my career. Where do we look for our results? So thank you so much for being here. We will do questions at the end for about 5 minutes, or you can also find them throughout the conference to ask them away. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, hello everyone. I'm Dimitris. I'm from Greece, and I'm a QA test automation engineer working at Novibet, which is an iGaming company operating across 10 countries globally.
And I am Aristotelis. I'm a QA automation lead at Novibet, and Dimitris will go on.
Yeah. So today we want to tell you about how we went from 47 separate HTML reports to one single dashboard using ReportPortal as the nerve center of our entire test operation system. So the talk is structured like a story in 4 acts. We will cover the problem, why we chose ReportPortal, how we integrated that into our .NET stack, and what we will tell ourselves if we started all over again. So let's begin our story. First, let me paint a picture of where we were 18 months ago. It's Monday morning, and Gandalf visits. Okay? I'm joking, Gandalf didn't visit, stand-up is in 10 minutes. And someone asks, did the test pass over the weekend? And the honest answer is that nobody actually knows. We have 47 HTML reports, 12 XML files, and 3 Slack threads where different people post different data, and they all don't agree. So this was our reality. 5 teams, 12 feature areas, 4 platforms, desktop, mobile, web, Android and iOS, and nearly 7,000 tests running every night. So the problem wasn't that we didn't have enough data. The problem was that we had too much data in too many places, in too many formats, and no single source of truth that we could trust. That was our sire, and that's where our journey started. So let me ask you something. How many of you have a spreadsheet somewhere that someone maintains manually and tracks the test health? Any hands? Okay. I need you to tell you something. That document is already out of date, and it was out of date the moment that it was saved. So before ReportPortal, we tried everything else. We tried raw HTML reports with Allure and Extend reports. Although they were beautiful at the beginning for a single test run, they don't aggregate. Every team had their own report. Every night had its own file, but nobody had a whole overview of the whole system. We tried XML/JUnit output, which is a GitHub Actions natively understands, but this is machine readable, not human readable. You could see the pass and fail counts, but you lose context the moment you walk away from the CI logs. And it was hard to map those results into something meaningful. We tried our own CI dashboard with Grafana and custom scripts, but it was very time-consuming to maintain those. And we also tried spreadsheets where product owners manually copying numbers into Google Sheets on Monday mornings. So everything was, this was not a reporting strategy, basically. This was a pain management. We needed a map to sort things out, so we called the council to create that map.
And the council has replied. We knew the company was growing significantly. New countries were coming, more teams, more complexity, more pressure for us. So we had to adjust our pace and find the tool that would take the everyday monitors reporting out of our plate. So we sat down and asked ourselves one question. What do we actually need? Not what vendors selling us, what we needed as a team. And 6 requirements emerged. A single source of truth, one place where every team, every product owner, and every engineering lead looks and gets the same answer. Real-time visibility, result streaming as test executes, not a reporting waiting for you when the suite is done. Trend analysis, not just did the test pass today, but is quality improving over time? Are we getting better or quietly getting worse? Failure classification, not just test failed, but here are 15 product bugs, here are 10 infrastructure issues, here are 12 flaky tests. Team and feature visibility, the ability to slice by squad, by feature, by tag, and drill all the way down without losing context. This one turned out to be a superpower, and we'll tell you more on that later. And finally, CI/CD integration. We had to plug in into our existing GitHub Actions pipelines. No ripping things out, no parallel worlds. And the next step was to choose our companion.
So we evaluated 4 options very seriously. We tried Allure, which had beautiful reports, excellent ecosystem, but fundamentally is a static report generator. It doesn't have a persistent server, and it doesn't aggregate across runs, and you lose history. We also tried Extend reports, which was kind of the similar story, excellent for a single run HTML output, but without an aggregation layer. We tried our custom solutions. We actually prototyped one with Grafana and custom PostgreSQL, but it was very time consuming to maintain. And then we found ReportPortal. ReportPortal is open source and self-hosted. It's framework agnostic. It has real-time streaming. It has AI-powered defect classification, built-in widget systems, and native and Jira Slack integrations. So it checked every single box on our requirement list. And let me tell you why these all actually mattered for us. First, open source and self-hosted was non-negotiable. Because we operate in regulated gaming markets and our test data contains user information, environment configurations, and internal API structures, we cannot sell those data to a third-party system. Framework agnostic meant that we could bring our entire stack, .NET 8, C#, Selenium WebDriver, Rake and Roll for BDD, and our custom REST API framework without rewriting anything. Real-time streaming was a game changer. Instead of waiting for 1 hour for our tests to finish and see our results, we could see them as long as they have been completed. AI analysis, sorry. AI analysis meant that instead of manually categorizing every failure, ReportPortal would group the test by pattern, suggest defect types, and learn from the corrections over time. Also, Jira and Slack integrations meant that the reports were just 2 clicks away from the developer. And tag-based filtering was the foundation that made everything and the widgets on the dashboard actually meaningful. Without the tags, we had a pile of test results, but with tags, we had a structured quality model.
So, before we walk you through the data flow here, as you see in the slide, let me give you 30 seconds of the context on how ReportPortal thinks about test results. So, every test run in ReportPortal is organized into 3 layers. A test launch, the top-level container. Think of it as one execution run. Inside the launch, you have the suites, grouping tests by features or area. And inside those, you have the individual test cases with the status, logs, screenshot, and error messages. Simple hierarchy. But here is where it gets interesting for us. Because we run tests across multiple countries, we needed launches that reflect our structure, not a generic one. So we configure our launches around country and scope. One launch per market, per environment, per run. That means when something failed, for example, in Brazil, you don't go hunting through a share dump. You open the Brazil launch and it's right there. Now, to the actual data flow. In the slide, a GitHub action workflow triggers on a schedule, on a pull request, or manually, with parameters like environment or scope. Then the .NET test runner starts executing, and then our RPA agent begins streaming results in real time to RabbitMQ, which is ReportPortal message queue, as each test finishes, not after the suite finishes, as it runs. RabbitMQ then funds those messages to the ReportPortal service API, which processes them, and writes them to 3 stores. First, PostgreSQL holds relation data, launches, suites, and test items. OpenSearch powers full text search across logs and error messages. MiniIO stores the binary attachments, screenshot, videos, anything visual. And once the data is persisted, Slack sends failure notification directly to the right team channel. The entire path from a test finishing in the runner to appearing in the dashboard in seconds. And by the time your suite is halfway through, you already have a live picture of quality.
So I want you to photograph this slide so you can understand what is our framework and what are our needs. Tags are the foundation of everything, but without the tagging strategy, ReportPortal is just a test result viewer. But with the tagging strategy, it becomes a quality intelligence platform. We tag every single test that we have in our test suite into 4 dimensions. One dimension is the team. Which squad owns this test? We have Sapphire, Pearl, Tanzanite, etc. These are our teams, yes. The second is the feature. What part of the product does this test cover? Is it KYC? Is it wallet? Is it casino, login, etc. The third is scope. What kind of test is it? Is it a smoke test, a regression, or sanity test? And the last is the channel, basically desktop, mobile web, Android, and iOS. So those 4 dimensions gives us what we call a quality coordinate system. Any combination of those tags becomes a filterable view. For example, someone can easily find all regression tests for the wallet feature under the Sapphire team. And he gets those results instantly. Every widget on the dashboard is powered by those combinations, and the coordinate system is what makes the dashboard meaningful. Without it, you have numbers, but with it, you have the answers. And basically, all comes to this slide. The all-sync dashboard, 24,000 tests, 1 screen, 30 seconds to know your quality. So before Portal, this screen was not possible. Getting this answer would require someone to manually aggregate those numbers from multiple reports. And of course, he had better things to do. And he, of course, made mistakes. Now, it's always current, it's always accurate, and anyone in the organizations, from the QA leads to the product owners and the engineering managers, can look at this dashboard and get the same answer. This slide is the destination. Everything we've built exists to make this screen possible. So Telis now will walk you through some of the widgets that powers this.
So, 6 widgets, 1 screen, 30 seconds to know the state of your quality. Let me walk you through each one. First, we have component by health, component health by team. Team accountability. Which squad tests are green and which needs attention. Engineering leads and product owners from each team sees this, all visible at a glance. Then we have component health by feature. This tag shows rate per feature area. Login is at 90%, KYC is at 85%, wallet is at 92%. This is the product Teams view. They see all the features held directly. Moving on to health by scope. Sanity versus smoke versus regression pass rates. So you know whether your most critical tests are solid before you look at the broader regression suite. Moving on to unique errors. The top 20 error patterns, this is a nice one, grouped by AI. So instead of seeing 300 identical elements not found, failures, you see one pattern with 300 occurrences and a suggested root cause. Launch statistics bar chart, then trend over time. Is quality improving or degrading sprint over sprint? This is the question every engineering manager wants answered without scheduling a meeting. And finally, overall pass rate, the one that Dimitris showed before. One number, the single headline KPI that represents the quality state of the entire platform. This is what goes to leadership. No spreadsheets, no manual calculation, just one number, and it's always live.
So, after every run, someone has to go through the failures and decide, is this a flaky test, is it an environmental issue, or is it actually a product bug? But you can understand that with hundreds of failures, this takes a really long amount of time. However, auto-analysis and AI from ReportPortal does this automatically for you. So after every launch, ReportPortal scans its failed test cases and compare its error message against historically classified failure in our project. It recognizes this error in this test, in this context, that has been seen before and was classified, for example, as an automation issue last time. So it classifies it again automatically. The first run, it learns. After a few runs, the to investigate pile is near to zero. And this saves up a lot of time from the QA engineer to actually investigate all the failed test cases overnight.
Okay. So now we move to integrations. And this is where the daily friction disappears. Let's start with Slack. Every time a test finishes, a message lands on the right channel, structured exactly the way we need it, divided by platform and environment, split by country. So in one glance, you know what passed, what failed, and where. No opening a browser, no digging through logs, the answer is right there. And if you do need more detail, every message has its direct hyperlinks. One click takes you to the ReportPortal launch, another takes you straight to the CI pipeline. The entire chain from notification to evidence in seconds. And now moving on to Jira. Before this, filling a bug meant opening a ticket, writing the title, describing the steps we produce, attaching strict screenshots, copying error messages. We've all done this, you know the drill. Every single time. Now it's one click from inside the ReportPortal. The bug ticket is created automatically with the test name, the failure region, the logs, the screenshots, the environment details. Everything the developer needs is already there, structured and ready. No copy pasting, no can you send me more details, no back and forth. The QA engineer stays in flow, the developer gets exactly what he needs to fix the issue. This is what one-click reporting actually means in practice.
So, of course, everything that I've shown you so far, the dashboard and the widgets and the tag system, none of it worked at day one. ReportPortal official SDK is Java and Python first. The .NET agent exists, but it's community maintained. And when we tried to use it with Regular, which is a fork for Specklo fork for .NET 8, we hit an immediate wall. Our Gherkin tags were not actually being mapped properly into ReportPortal attributes. So every single test appeared on the dashboard as untagged, 6,000 tests showing every night as uncategorized in every widget. Our entire dashboard strategy was not working, and we couldn't identify which test case we were looking at For example, which environment it ran, which country, which channel. So like fellowship in Moria, no path existed, so we had to build one. So the approach was to go one level deeper into the ReportPortal RequeRoll plugin itself. We found the plugin, and rather than working around it, we extended it. We subscribed into ReportPortal RequeRoll plugin own event system, which fires inside the plugin life cycle before the test item is sent to the server, or after, depends on the case. That gives us access to the request object directly, as you can see from the piece of code, if it is readable. We read every Gherkin tag from the scenario, identify the category by the prefix, for example, team underscore, feature underscore, etc., and we map those attributes into a typed ReportPortal attribute. So once we do that, every dashboard gets more meaningful, and we have full structured metadata. So the lesson is that we should work around the plugin and inside it, read the source, understand the attribute model, and write the bridge yourself. Here you can see an example of the tagging for one test case. For example, we have tagged the product, the feature, which environment it runs, the domain, which is basically the country, etc., etc. So we know exactly what is this test case. So another challenge that we faced was the challenge of scale. So the army arrived at nightfall, 500,000 events descended at once, and the gates nearly broke. So when we scaled from a few hundred tests to nearly 20,000 tests, everything broke simultaneously in many places. First, Osgiliath fell, meaning the PostgreSQL. We had no retention policy, which for ReportPortal it means that it keeps every test data forever. Over roughly a year, we accumulated nearly 44 million test items that took up almost 70 gigabytes of database. So queries were very, very slow, and the routine maintenance couldn't run. We set a 90-day retention policy, increased the shared memory, rebuilt the indexes, and reclaimed almost 62% of the row count overnight. Then Rohan fell, the deadlocks. The ReportPortal internal trigger uses a for-update lock on the internal test item table. So you can imagine that when hundreds of tests finish in parallel, those locks cross each other and produce deadlocks. So we swapped it for PostgreSQL advisory lock, scoped per result, and we eliminated those deadlocks entirely. Then Minas Tirith fell. So beyond the database, RabbitMQ queued up a lot of messages that were running simultaneously. Sorry. We got lost.
No worries.
No worries. This happens to live. Leave it. It's okay. So yeah, RabbitMQ queues up a lot of messages. Almost 100,000 messages coming at once. They were very, very late. They were coming after 20 minutes. So once the test finished, the message wasn't being received yet. So ReportPortal loses track of the actual test case and the result. And another problem that we faced was, of course, the server capacity. We had to upgrade RAM. Leave it. We had to upgrade RAM and the disk space, because the default report portal configuration is not, it's more like a proof of concept. It's not for production scale, and with those test cases that we have in our needs, we couldn't cover it, and it produced all those problems.
So let's move to Act 4. If we could go back and give our time 5 pieces of advice before we started this journey, here's what we'd say. First and foremost, design your strategy before you integrate it, not after. It's 10 times harder to retrofit tags across 6,000 tests or more that you are actually written without them. For us, the dimension was 3: feature, team, and scope. Yours might be completely different, but define them at day one. This is the foundation of everything. Plan for operational overhead. Self-hosted is absolutely worth it, especially in regulated industries, and we are in one. OpenSearch, RabbitMQ, and PostgreSQL all need tuning at scale. So allocate engineering time for infrastructure work, not only for integration. Start with one team and one framework. Don't try to onboard 5 teams and 3 test framework in the first sprint. Prove value with one team. Collect feedback, fix the rough edges, then expand. Make the dashboard visible to your product teams, not just QA. This is the single change that shifts quality from being a QA conversation to being a shared engineering conversation. Invite your product owners to dashboard. It changes what they ask you about. Invest, and finally, invest in defect classification from the start. Product bug versus automation bug versus system issue. Without that distinction, you're counting failures. With it, you're managing quality. Let me show you the before and after, because this is a slide that justifies every week of work that we put in. As we countless times mentioned, we went from almost 50 HTML reports per night to one dashboard. From did the test pass, depending who you ask, to 96%. One number everybody sees, and it's live. Failures that used to be triggered manually the next morning are now classified automatically. No human involvement. Filling a bug report went from 15 minutes to 2 minutes. Quality trends moved out from someone's spreadsheet into the real-time widgets that are always current. And the stand-ups. It used to sound like tests are mostly green. Now it sounds like login is at 95%. Team A is at 86%. Here's the Jira link, and John is already looking at it. The last one is worth more than any metric I could put on a slide. So basically, I want you to close with a challenge. Not go think about your reporting strategy, a real concrete 2-week challenge. Within the next 2 weeks, try to deploy ReportPortal in Docker Compose. Their official Compose file gets you up and running in about 30 minutes. That's your proof of concept. Pick one team, one test framework, and that's it. Define your tagging strategy. Do this before you run a single test through it. This is very important. In week 2, configure lunch merging, group by your tagging strategy, watch your dashboard or test lunch transform. Build your first dashboard, one widget per question you want answered. Start simple. Component health by feature tag was a good first one for us. And then, this is the most important step, show it to your product owner. Invite them to look at the dashboard. Ask them one question. Is this better than what we had? If they say yes, you have your mandate to expand. If they have questions or want different data, you have your roadmap. Within the next 2 weeks, you will know whether ReportPortal is the right choice for your team. And I believe it will be. Thank you, everybody. If you have any questions, we'll happily answer them.
Any questions?
Please.
If you need to start and you don't know anything about this, what time do you need to understand it and start working with it?
Very good question. ReportPortal has a really handy documentation. We can send you directly the link afterwards. It's in their official website. You can start really, really fast. They're very helpful, and you will be up and running in 1 week with them.
Oh, maybe less. Maybe less. It's very easy. It's plug and play, basically. But if your entire test suite is complex, of course you have to do all those modifications that we talked about. Yeah, sorry. So basically, what I said is that if your test suite is very complex, you will have to do those modifications and work around it. But yeah, it's very easy to install, and it's plug and play, basically. There is a small JSON file that you have to import into your .NET project, like 5-6 lines of code, and that's it, basically. Yeah.
And just for streaming, to repeat the question, he was asking if you don't know where to start, if you've never experienced this, how do I learn more? So,
yeah.
Thank you.
And
this is more of an experience question. We've been integrating ReportPortal for the last, 2 weeks, so it's not that long.
Okay.
And we have huge issues with the dashboards filtering for tags. Do you have, and from your experience, is it a huge trial and error? Or do you think I'm doing very substantially something wrong?
I would say it depends on what you want to show. So if you want, you can share more details after this, and we can give you a more detailed answer.
That would be nice, yeah, because we have the exact same thing with desktop, mobile, Android, iOS, and I cannot for the life of me to get it to filter for Android and iOS, although I give it to him.
Exactly.
So.
We've had this problem.
Okay, thank
we
you.
had this problem, and this is how we solved it. So basically, if you, I don't know if it's visible at the bottom, so every tag that you have on your test is basically an attribute for ReportPortal, but it says tag and then your tag name. So everything is tag. So you have everything there, and you cannot filter with this information. So we had to manually make a small script that will identify exactly what type of tag it is, what is the value, and then we filter by the value, basically. So this saved us.
And there's many widgets that are very handy, and you can filter in the test level, and it will save your life.
Yeah.
For sure.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yes, I would have a question about the different solutions that you tried before, because you showed that, for example, you tried Grafana, so I assume with some sort also of database or storage of the test results. And what were the challenges that you found there? Because, for example, in our experience with Elasticsearch, Kibana, Grafana, you can have a very flexible system.
Well, it was mostly like a proof of concept because we had some HTML reports coming out of the artifacts from GitHub Actions. We had custom scripts that would extract the results and show them into Grafana, but it was not readable enough we had to maintain those custom solution basically. But then at this moment we found ReportPortal. We didn't really spend too much time on this custom solution.
We understood that this is not for us at this time.
And we saw all the possibilities of ReportPortal and the dashboard and widget system, so yeah, it was a no-brainer.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. All right. Well, you can find Dimitris and Talis around the conference. Thank you all so much.
Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Aristotelis.